All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I got a little carried away on my last video. I talked about BBAI way too much. So I'm making a SoFi KULR and then I'll add GNS to this video as well. And look, again, I said it on the last opening thoughts. I'm going to say it one more time. This was a good attack of the 100 moving average and it finally broke and ran, right? That is what technical analysis is about. And more than anything, and I said this on the last video. I don't remember if I did it in the beginning or not. But look, I know this looks like a lot of moving averages, but really it's the blue line that I care about. And then these two down here that I care about, 8 and the 20 are just going up, right? So I know it looks tight, but really there's a decent little channel right there, right? There's a good spacing between that line and then the next one down here. It's actually all the way down here, right? So I didn't mind the channel it was in, especially since I saw the 8 moving average going up during it. It was just a matter of time, right? I said on the last video, Soundhound looks the same, but actually 8 and the 20 are coming down, and then it's a lot closer between the line we're trying to break and then that next scary one down here, right? So just kind of throwing that back here for that. But again, obviously what does matter is this is where we break the 100 moving average. And you know, SoFi did it on the last run. There weren't a lot of big, crazy big, maybe this one right here and the gap up, but these were all pretty much nice, small, stable, you know, candles. RSI never like crazy jumps outside of this single candle. No, it's this one, but only one big crazy volume. It's not like there was this like it never looks like BBAI where it's just like smashing the 50 line and like day after day, right? Like SoFi is really good at going up slow and steady. And what that does is it never makes the RSI get crazy high. It lets this thing do really well when it's only at or near the line. Like most stocks need to be significantly over the line to go from a 13 to a 16, 17, right? This one just barely needs to be near the average, right? So SoFi does so well with slow and steady. SoFi is the tortoise that won the race, right? BBAI is the rabbit, and hey, that one's doing well too. So believe me, everyone wins the race when you're at least not going down, right? But there's a lot of interesting things going on here, and hey, more than anything, this has been doing the job, and we've still got some lines up here to go. And look, after this line, right, we haven't been over 1660 arguably since 2021, right? In 2021 we were over it and then lost it, and then what, we have 4 candles in the beginning of the year, and that's it, right? So this 1660 is a monster line with just green, red, green, red, green, red behind it. It might be an interesting move to 22 here if the S&P 500 continues its jump up, right? If NASDAQ continues its jump up, right? And both of them actually still have some really good RSI numbers here saying that there might be more, right? So SoFi doing the job to say the least, all right? Next one we're going to talk about is KULR. And look, there's a couple things that definitely upset me here, right? Number one, we had our earnings. It definitely gapped down. That's not what I want earnings to do. Clearly, this was the point that we lost all the moving averages instead of what was the hope of going above them all, right? And then lastly, a reverse split. I hate reverse splits. I do, all right? All that said, hey, there's a decent reason to think we might make our way up to 8. All right. That said, it might be a little hard to break 8, but if that does happen, there's some possibilities. But overall, my bare minimum is I don't like reverse splits. And I'm here kind of having to assume more bad than good. Interesting volume, like I said, interesting candle. Obviously, you can't ignore a 20% day. That's why I'm at least giving the possibility of a test here. But this is worrisome to say the least. All right. And then GNS, this is the third one I want to add to this video. Very big day. What was it? On Thursday. And it was actually news driven. They're going to give dividends That's amazing, actually. You know what I mean? In some ways, I don't know if I want them to give dividends. Like, this is still kind of a startup, up and coming company, right? So I would much rather them use the money to like improve the company, make good hires, make good acquisitions, etc. But hey, giving out a dividend is a real good way to make shareholders happy and bring in new shareholders, right? From there was something about them also using the money to buy Bitcoin. Again, I got no problems with that, right? If you're going to use the money, use it well. Like I just said a couple seconds ago, I would rather them use all the money, hopefully well, right? But again, dividend's not bad. Dividend was really cool news. And hey, I see this attempt to break all the moving averages, right? I still say attempt, even though we're obviously over it, because I don't know what to think. Look, that's a good candle. Doji doesn't count. That's a great candle, and you can maybe say this is the confirmation for that. I think I would have wanted this to be a green one, but hey, we're well over 50% candle. This actually isn't a horrible candle. So there's a lot of good. And hey, the RSI was actually a little on the high side at 92, right? So I think there's reasons to not be too worried, but yeah, I still want a stronger back-to-back confirmation of getting over all the moving averages, right? So interesting across all three, to say the least. Very excited for these, but before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So, oh man, I feel like I said a lot in the opening thoughts. I want to come take a look at this weekly candle here. All right, so what are we looking at? I think we're looking at a very nice confirmation of breaking all the moving averages. All right, so we were struggling with that 20 moving average. In that same frame, that time frame, we were struggling with that 100 moving average, right? So that was the same timing of the battles. That's a good candle, overall 5. That is not confirmation. That's a good candle, and then that's the confirmation right there, right? I like that back to back. Again, I feel like I just said this a couple seconds ago in the opening thoughts. This arguably could have been a good confirmation for that candle in this doji. What I prefer seeing is the back to back, the good and the better. Obviously, you're going to break a resistance line. That's only going to do so much better, right? But, oh, that's the 1, 2, overall 5 on the weekly. We're over all 5 on the weekly. We've been over all 5 on the daily. That's not a bad RSI on the daily. That's not a bad RSI on the weekly. MACD is basically just starting now on the weekly as well, right? So there's a lot of good to like on this weekly. And again, we have our next 2 targets up, which in this chart kind of seems like we might get there in the next what? Let's call it 2 months. Like I feel like I can see candle. Yeah, come August, September, we might be testing 22, right? I think that's a decent thing to say. It looks like earnings is about a month away, so hopefully in that month window, we'll do some good things, and then obviously earnings is going to do the silliness that earnings does, right? So coming to the daily, because you know I like the daily more than the weekly, but gotta respect both. Oh man, this is a beautiful run right here. All we're doing is bouncing on the 8 like a champion until we need to, we're ready to, and taking off. And you can see that last little takeoff really coincides well with NASDAQ taking off, right? Really nicely coincides with S&P taking off, right? And that's where I'm seeing both of these having good MACD and RSIs on the daily, beautiful MACD and RSIs on the weekly, over all the moving averages on the weekly and the daily. If these two look good, all I can think to myself is SoFi is going to look good, right? So I will at least call out the tariff news. So Trump did mention that he is finished negotiating with Canada, and he's going to issue new tariffs because he's over the excuse me, the negotiations. What I saw, all right, what I saw was a scary 2 hours and a good recovery at the end. This is basically when he announced it on Friday afternoon. And then lo and behold, the market seemingly was okay with it. So more than anything, SoFi, I don't think is going to be impacted by anything that's imported from Canada, right? So we'll see what the market news thinks of that. Obviously, we don't want new tariffs, right? We want things to stay calm and stable, right? So when you add something new, there's a potential disruption and worry and this and that. But I think that S&P chart, like I said, makes me think it was just a 2 hour scare that recovered. That helps me feel a little more comfortable that if those continue, these should continue too, right? So one more time, I am expecting these lines up, right? So my next line's basically at 19. I'll zoom in here real quick. Let's see if there's another number worth calling out. That's probably something right there. I think basically 18, I'm clicking at 1777. I think that might be something you can see. It was basically the bottom. Sorry, the top of that, almost the top of that, basically bottom of that. Yeah, I think between 17 and 18 might be something, but really, I don't think, sorry, I did that poorly. I don't think there's anything else that's going to matter. I think between here and 19, as long as we don't lose the 1660, that should be good. And realistically, it looks like the 8 moving average is about to catch up. So a lot to love on SoFi. Really, I feel like this is going to keep going up until earnings. If earnings is good in the next month, that'll probably propel it to 22, if not all-time highs. All right, so let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, let's come take a look at KULR, all right? And I don't usually give a disclaimer before I start a video, but look, I know a lot of people are really into this stock, all right? I'm not here to hate. I'm not here to bash, none of that. I'm doing my best to stay as impartial, let the lines do the talking, and that's the story, right? Um, that's on every ticker, not just this one. All right. I love this thing during the runs. You know that, right? But right now there's some things that worry me. And I kind of mentioned those in the opening thoughts, right? I don't like earnings gap down. Boom, boom. That's never a good thing. I don't like being under all the moving averages, right? You break all five up and you fly. You lose all five down and you die, right? We've seen it break all five and fly. I don't know if we're about to see it lose all five and die, right? So then we have the reverse split. Look, I never like a reverse split. Okay, to me, you should be going up organically because of volume, because of earnings, because of PR. You should be going up from the 60 cents that it probably was, or 70, whatever. Maybe I don't really remember. It's not 1 for 10. Yeah, I think it was in the $1.20 range. Was it under $1? Or was it, again, whatever. That's not the point right now. I don't know why they did this, but you should come up to 6 organically, not because of some math manipulation where they divided the number of shares and reverse. Like that's not what a good thing. That's not good, right? So I've definitely seen these crazy runs after reverse splits, and nothing is certain, right? If it was, we'd all be stock billionaires, right? But at the minimum, when you've got bad earnings, losing all the moving averages, and a reverse split, that's not a good 1, 2, 3. Okay. I say this all the time, and hey, it kind of matters here too. Volume cures everything. Volume also makes everything worse when it's the wrong way, right? But there was really good buying. We were only expecting 2 point something million. Yeah, we were only expecting 2.2 million shares. We got 12 million shares. I mean, when you 6x volume and it's good, that's how you get those double digits, right? If you can get over the 8, you can get to the 20, right? And stocks do it all the time. You battle the 8, battle the 8, battle the 8, try to go to the 20, right? You battle the 8, battle the 8, try to go to the 20, and then hopefully more, right? But hey, if you can get to the 8, you have a good shot at getting to the 20, and that's a real big channel right there on a red to potentially green, right? I do see it going up after hours. I don't care about that. I really, really don't. All right. We need that to confirm Monday regular hours. All right. So, what I'm basically looking for, okay. So 50% candle is what I'm clicking right now, and that's at 660 basically. I think 660 is going to be the safest number. All right. There's no such thing as safe in the market, right? But if you get over 660, I think there's a real good chance that you're going to make a run to the 20 moving average sitting at about $8 right there. Okay. Otherwise, where are you? You're too. Give me the hourly. What's this? 590. Where's 590? That's too low. No, it's not. No, 590. If this loses 590, it's game over and this was a fake candle. Okay? The other thing to remember is look, Thursday's volume was 4 million. We then 3x it up to 12, right? I don't want to do that where we were down here, go up here, and then all of a sudden back down, right? Pump and dump doesn't have to be like a crazy big one just to be pump and dump, right? Like that wasn't good. I don't want that to happen again, right? I think if volume can hold, the lowest number I'd be okay with is about 10 million, I think. What I would really love is 14 million, a little bit more than we got on Friday. That's basically 2 million shares per hour in a 7-hour day. If we can get 2 million to 4 million shares per hour per second hour, right? I'll believe we'll do better. I think that we'll test that 660 and then we'll start thinking the 8, right? Otherwise, if volume doesn't come back and we lose that 590 number, even 6 is probably the line, really. 590 might be a little too low. I think 6 is really what I don't want to lose. But yeah, if we lose that range, I gotta think that we're gonna come basically, honestly, yeah, there's nothing else to call because we're right here. Green, 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 red, red, red. Like there's, if, okay, I understand why this candle came. That was a scary red. We didn't confirm, right? We didn't confirm the loss of the gap. Instead, we dojied and it gave us a little technical recovery. Look, if this thing, if like, there's not much to say. If this loses 525, it's coming to 360. All right, that's a real hardcore 50-50, man. I would be wildly worried under 6. I think under 6, it'll quickly test that 560 line. After 560, it'll 525 and then scary. KULR, man, 1, 2, 3. Those are bad 3 right there. I was really into this stock, man. I was comparing this thing to SoFi. We had those strong doji lines. I didn't think we were gonna lose those supports. Man, it's I like technical analysis because it helps me not fall in love with a ticker. I know there's a lot. I saw all the stuff, man. They had these crazy partnerships with like Blue Origin and SpaceX, and I mean there were some big names that they were calling partners on slides on earnings calls and stuff, right? And oh man, it's tough to see stuff like this. But hey, look, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Last one we're gonna throw on the list is GNS. I think this was actually a viewer request. I think it was my boy Baga, if I'm not mistaken, actually. But um, good couple days, really some nice technical things to talk about. Nice break of that 100 moving average. That's kind of been a theme on a few videos, and really some actual news that I think was nice news. You know what I mean? As a technical guy, I do my best to try to figure out what's real news and what's like fake fluff news. I like what I read actually. So real quick, please, if you can subscribe, if you can share, it does wonders with these algorithms. So from what I saw on the headlines, GNS had won a legal case. There was obviously money that came in from that winnings, and they're going to do what I read was two things. They're going to give a dividend. That's big. That dividend is big, okay? A dividend is something a established company does. A dividend is a company saying we have so much money and all the money that we have invested is so perfectly invested that we're just going to give away this extra money. We don't need it. You know what I mean? Like that's what a dividend at the core is, right? Most companies are begging for more money. Most companies would never give away a dollar because they're trying to invest that dollar and turn it into four or five, right? GNS saying, you know what? Let's share the wealth with the people in a lot of ways is saying we're comfortable with our money. We're okay sharing it. You know, that's a strong statement. The next thing that I saw was they wanted to buy some bitcoins. I'm cool with that. I'll be honest, I'm not really a crypto person. There's a lot of people that believe in it, and you know, it's not a bad thing to hold assets. And if you think it's an asset and this and that, I don't mind in some ways diversifying the portfolio if that's what you're doing, right? So, and let's be honest, a lot of people like buying Bitcoin. Like that's a good two-word phrase right there, right? Most people can't today because it's crazy expensive. But if I can invest in a company that's buying the Bitcoins that I can't, yeah, I could see that making people happy, right? So I like the news. What I found interesting was the news wasn't the biggest day, right? I don't think this is when the news came, right? I'm actually opening my phone to see the headlines. Yeah, it looks like most of it happened 2 days ago, which was this Thursday right here, right? So, um, yeah, I like the fact that the volume wasn't the craziest on that day. And again, that was the nicest candle over, right? Let's start zooming out. Let's start looking at these technicals, right? Look at this purple 200 moving average line. You can arguably say this was the only, it's not even arguable, actually. The only moment we were over the 200 moving average was at the inception of it, right? When it started. And then ever since then, we've basically been completely under it without that little anomaly right there outside of these last, what, 4 days, right? So big shift on that 200 moving average. When you look at the weekly, that's a lovely channel from the 20. Break the 20, you're going to go to the 50. That's a good channel from there. Break the 50, you're going to go to the 100. Oh, that's an even nicer channel up there. And you see all that red right there, right? So a little high on the weekly. I would at least say there's a no, that's too low. Mm, no, that's the line, yeah. So there is a chance that this comes down to 75 cents just because of that 83 on the weekly. All right. I think these are my two thoughts. And we didn't do it on Friday. As long as we don't lose 88 cents, I think I'm really comfortable with GNS. If we lose 88 cents, that's going to basically take us down to 70. But I think that this, yeah, that's the same 70 line. Yeah, okay. Those are the two lines. Those are the two lines. Do not lose do not lose 88, 87, 86. Somewhere in that 2 cent range. Don't lose that on GNS, okay? If we can get over 108, I think really good things will happen. All right. Let me zoom out. Man, there's not even that many educated lines that I can draw. There's that. And that's it. So the daily is saying the next line up is the 290 basically, and that's actually pretty clean. I think give or take that's where the 100 moving average will meet at some point. I think that's our expectation. If this continues up, there's almost nothing stopping it to get to 280. I'm going to go ahead and set that alert. I like 110. 111 is cool. All right, we said 108. Yeah, give me 111. That's fine. I'll give away a couple pennies. Break break 108 and I think 280 is realistic. It's bullish over 88. As long as we don't lose 86, I'll be okay. If we lose 86, I think it's going to be a fast fall to 70. If we lose 70, it might be game over. Obviously, there's a lot of moving averages here, and that might be a little bit loose with me saying it, but yeah, it'd be really bad if we came to 70, and let's not talk about anything below that. All right. So again, I like the news. I like the technical spacing. I really do. Obviously, again, I'm going to say one more time. RSI was a 90 on the daily. It makes sense that it needs to come down, right? There was a slight RSI concern, like I said, at the 83. I think as long as we don't lose that 80s, mid 80s will be fine. There's a possibility we come to the 70 that I was just worried about, and that's enough to reset the RSI and make us go back up. And then I don't talk about the fears below that. You know what I mean? So I think there could be some decent strength, not down there, sorry. I think there could be some decent strength to call out at 70, even though it would obviously be a 30% drop if we went from basically a buck to 70, right? So cool. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.